Sequoia. Okay, trouble code B0174, system tooling bank 2. I get this every once in a while, like once every 2 years or so, and they say it's just bad gas, or let's double check our gas cap. Now you could hear that seal. That was under pressure, not the gas cap. So time passed and the engine light came on more and more frequently, especially in the warmer months. It got to the point where it was coming on a couple of times during every tank of gas, and then it'd go off again. But I didn't really notice any physical symptoms until I was driving up a hill at 45 miles an hour. It was a warm day, and the Sequoia just started slowing and slowing, and it wouldn't downshift. It was like I just let off the accelerator. So I floored it, and it finally downshifted, and I made it up the hill and got home. Some research pointed me to a failing fuel pump. Sometimes fuel pumps fail suddenly, but other times they just get weaker and weaker, and this is especially noticeable when it's warmer, and that's because heat increases resistance in motors, causing them to slow down. So going up a hill on a warm day is a perfect scenario to test your fuel pump. Fuel is at high demand, and supply is at its lowest if your fuel pump is failing. So today we're doing the fuel pump. Now this is a Delphi pump. I thought it was going to be a Denso, but it appears Delphi, or Delphi, I don't know how you pronounce it actually, is the pump in the Sequoia, whereas Denso is the one in the Tundra. And then I had to order separately a gasket for the fuel tank where the whole fuel pump assembly comes out. This is a first gen Sequoia, so this is what you're getting if you're doing this. And I also ordered a new sending unit, so this does the fuel level. A lot of times, as soon as I fill the tank to the top, the needle will go to the top, and then the next day I'll crank it and it'll be all the way at the bottom. It's usually only on a full tank, and pretty much from the middle to the end of the tank it's accurate, but when it's full or near full, it just does whatever it wants to. I still need to go get a strainer, and I also need to pick up a siphon because my siphon either disappeared, I don't know what happened to it. I thought the parts weren't going to come in until next week, so I went ahead and put a half tank of gas in the Sequoia this week, thinking that I'd get to it next weekend, and that'd be just when I run out of gas, so I won't have a lot of weight in the tank. But all the parts came early, and it turns out I have to go to Florida next weekend. So first I need to see which car has less fuel in it. Oh, this one's pretty low. I'll just put it in this one. All right, let's go to the auto parts store. By the way, this is out before you see a Corolla update. There's a reason it's taking a while to get back to the Corolla. If you remember, way back, we bought this Honda Fit so that I could do work on the Corolla. We needed an extra car. Well, since then, I have another child driving, and so she is driving the Fit. So the Sequoia is tied up with me driving it for work. The Fit is tied up with her driving it to school and work. And the Corolla is tied up with my wife driving it to work. So I can't have the Corolla down just yet. Got the expensive transfer pump. It's pretty close. I got the more expensive one because it looked like the hose was longer, but it looks like I'm gonna have to heat the hose up so it straightens out, because obviously when I stick this down in the tank, it's probably just gonna curl up and we're not gonna get any fuel. Hopefully that'll work. Red hose from the top nozzle is the intake. And I'm not gonna get any fuel because this is on an incline and all the fuel is down there. Okay, let's try this again. Oh, still not getting anything. Do I have enough room to get the tank out from under here without jacking it up? It looks like it'll clear. All right, first we got to remove this bash guard, so it looks like There are a few bolts around the perimeter. Now keep in mind, there is a danger of working around gasoline with electrical tools. It might cause an explosion or fire. I don't know if the brushless component alleviates that or anything. This, however, I don't believe is a brushless tool. So when I get to the open gasoline parts, I'm probably going to switch over to my regular hand tools. You know, I don't off-road in this thing. It's only 2-wheel drive, so I don't think I'm gonna put that guard back on. Looks like I might need to remove this little plastic shield at the front of the gas tank, and then I'll take the hose off from the filter here. Alright, so now we're at the back of the tank, and there's where the filler and the vent come in. Reach up in there and loosen those pipe clamps and pull those out. And yes, it looks like there's another hose that goes to the charcoal canister. I have to disconnect that right there, I think. As I mentioned, here's the filler and the vent hoses, but it looks like they'll be easier to disconnect over here and just let them come over that as I drop the tank down. And that'll help keep stuff from spilling as much too, I think, if we have much that does spill. Oh, that one's coming off easy. You loosen the bolts and then just let this side pivot. There's still some electrical connectors that we can't get to because they're up there where the fuel pump is. And I think you end up with enough slack when you drop the tank that you can deal with them after you drop the tank. Right. We got another hose we need to disconnect. There we go. So apparently if you give the hose a little twist with some pliers, that helps. These straps are like melted on here. There's an electrical connector up here. I need to detach. Oh, there we go. Let's see if I can get this little clip off here without breaking it. This is just held on with some electrical tape, so I could just cut that. For this one, you push down here and pull the connector apart. And for this one, you push the sides in and pull up. It does look like I'm gonna have to jack it up a little bit. The jack right there. I think I've got enough clearance. Save yourself the trouble and take off the running board. They seem to have just 2 12mm bolts every so often on these brackets. What's wrong with that? Looks like it's the wrong size. That one is too. How can that be right? It is wrong. So that's 12mm. Is this going to be the 13mm? And it is. So they have 12mm and 13mm. I guess this is the easy part. Pulls right off. Okay. Now again, you might not want to use electric tools. I think the brushless is safe, but alright. Cover this up with a little plastic wrap here so no dust gets in there. Okay, let's see if we can rebuild this thing. This tells the fuel level. Since that's kind of fragile, we'll do that last because we're probably going to be wrestling with this thing here. See how everything works. We go like that. So this is kind of a rubbery button here, and apparently you can just push up and it'll flex the tube. I should be able to pull that out. This has a little clip on it, which we really don't care about because this whole thing's coming off. So let's take off the fuel pump. Loose connector off. And that is that. Identical in size. So I'm going to cut a fresh piece of hose, identical in size to this one. Put that next to there. Decent scissors here. Thank you. Got that nice and tight. Good. There's a little cap covering where the filter goes. Get that off. So my new filter looks like it's just a shorter model. And it comes with extra clips. That faces that way. Oh, there's a plug. That plug off. Down. Install a clip. I used air clips. The one that came with the fuel. I'm going to use this one that looks a little more robust. The one that came with the fuel pump. Put that on. Oh, okay, there we go. Just need to go on a little bit more. These gloves off while I'm working on this new equipment since there's no gasoline. There we go. Double check that's nice and snug on there. Let's back over that. And push that on there. Alright, so the fuel pump is done. Now we just need to do the sending unit. I have to break this off at the same time. A new one. Alright, I just need to put this gasket on and put everything back in the tank. Tank looks nice and clean inside. Nice. Started. Come in a crisscross pattern like lug nuts on. That is probably good. I'm ready to slide this back under there. Put it back on there. Get these connectors back on here. Let's go this way. There we go. Now, we'll get these straps aligned. Looks like we're probably gonna have to retap that and get another bolt. Front one's good. Yeah, it chewed that up pretty good. Actually, I found this other bolt that says M10 1.25, and that looks pretty close. 1.25, maybe that one. Yeah, I don't recommend doing this with pliers. I'm just, oh, I think that is cleaning that up. M10 1.25. Well, in either case, I can probably just use these bolts. Even though they're a little shorter, I think I got the thing high enough. And obviously you don't really want to use pliers because as long as I don't loosen my grip here. Yep, those are in lockstep now. Alright, so that's N10, 1.25. Let's grab that tap. 1.25. That's it. That locks up with it right there. Let's go tweak that hole. Does a small one fit this? Yes. Looks like we're good to go. I hope. I'll just strap up there. All right, yes. Now we just have to hook all the lines back up. And this one, figured I better do the fuel filter too while I'm down there. A lot of people do the fuses and relays and stuff at the same time, but I'm not gonna worry too much about that. Start it through here. Alright, let's do that. And push it in. Yeah, that might work better. What's that? Let's crank it up and make sure nothing leaks. I gotta put the running board back on. I guess we'll see how long it takes for the light to come back on. Hopefully, forever. Best gas mileage I have gotten for years in this. In fact, around town, I've never gotten better than 12 miles per gallon, 12.5 maybe. And at least for the past couple of years, it's been 10.5 maybe. Right now we're sitting at 16. And I am not on the interstate. It appears the problem is solved. The weather has been warm, I'm on my second tank of gas, I never cleared the engine codes, and yet the check engine light has gone off and never come back on. And a bonus is I'm getting the best fuel mileage I've ever gotten since I bought this thing about 9 years ago. So let's call it done. As always, thanks for watching. Please comment below, and I hope to see y'all in the next one.